Hi, it's Bill Bishop, and I want to talk to you about a really cool marketing concept that could help you make a lot more money. And it's all about the idea of selling fast food and gourmet. And this is a concept that I've been working with my clients for 20 years, and it's worked incredibly well for a lot of people. So the first thing to understand, or maybe to accept, is that you might be selling what I call a hot dog. You're selling fast food. And what I mean by that is that your products and services have become a bit of a commodity, and the prices and the profit margins have dropped. So I know that, for example, in the financial service industry, the commissions that financial advisors earn on selling products have dropped. The fees they can charge have dropped. And that's, just in that industry. It's pretty well, a lot of industries, practically all of them, their products and services have become commodified, which is great for the buyer, but not so great for the seller. Now, what happens when that occurs is that our way of thinking kind of gets a little bit screwed up, because we start thinking that everybody's trying to always get the lowest price. And we start to think that's the reality of things. So all we ever think about now is, well, how can I get the price down in order to get the business? And that usually means cutting costs somehow, laying off people, doing things more efficiently, and it's kind of a race to the bottom. So the trick then is to say, well, how could I get paid a lot more for what we do? Like, how can we do that? So I like to use the analogy of fast food versus gourmet. So what we're going to do in order to make this breakthrough is we're going to have our fast food products and services, and we're not going to change those. We're going to play that game, but we're going to also add on a gourmet option or options, and we're going to offer that to people too. So we might, for example, say, if you want to buy my hot dog, it'll be $3 for the hot dog, just like everybody else, or I can give you this gourmet meal, and that costs $300. And you might even have another option, which is that you have a $3,000 one. It's like a huge banquet or something. Okay, so then you're offering people the $3 hot dog, the $300 gourmet meal, and the $3,000 super gourmet meal. Now those numbers could change, right? It's obviously in your business, whatever it would be. But the idea is the gourmet is significantly more, just in the same way that obviously a hot dog is very inexpensive and a gourmet meal is usually pretty expensive. So this is what I suggest, because what it does is it starts to get you thinking about, well, what would the gourmet meal be? But before you even do that, you got to break over this problem, which you'd probably think, well, I'm having a hard time getting people to pay me the $3 for the hot dog. Why would anybody pay me $300 for, let's say, even just $30 for something when I can't even get them to pay $3? So you got to break through that, and you got to say, okay, well, let's just allow ourselves to imagine this without getting all caught up in our negative thinking, right? So just imagine that. So you start thinking, well, if I could do that, if I could get them to pay me that much, well, I could put a lot of incredible ingredients in there. I could spend a lot more time with them. I could bring in other resources. I could bring in technology. And what you start to realize, that if you were actually to do that, well, your customer, or like to think a member, would do much better. They'd probably maybe save a lot of money, way more than what they're paying for the gourmet meal, or they might make a ton more money, or it might be other ways to determine this. They might feel more special about things, or they might feel happier or have more fun. Lots of other kinds of value that you couldn't give them if it was just a hot dog. So you can just imagine what that might be. So you start thinking about that, and you're allowing yourself to think really big, and and saying, okay, I'm still not sure anybody's going to buy it, but at least I've thought about it, right? So then you put a package together, and then you go to the marketplace and you just give them that choice. You say, would you like to have the hot dog for $3, or would you like to have our gourmet meal for $30 or $300? And obviously you make a case for why this better option, gourmet option, would be better. So you see, actually, you're not really taking any risk. As a matter of fact, you're not taking any, because if they still want the hot dog, then you haven't raised your prices. But if they want the gourmet meal, then you're way farther ahead. And the delightful surprise that most people experience here is that some of your customers will actually go for the gourmet meal, because that's something they've been looking for all along and no one's ever offered it to them. Now, there is a risk for not doing this, and the risk is that your customers might actually go somewhere else to get the gourmet meal because you don't have it, because you're convinced that no one would ever buy such a thing. So usually out of every customer base, there's about 10% of your customers that would actually buy the gourmet meal. It's just that no one's ever offered it to them. And you don't want that to be your competitors. I had one client who, he kind of got a little angry at me for suggesting that he was in the hot dog business. So he went away, and then he came back a month later for another session with us. And he said, "You're right, Bill, we're in the hot dog business. As a matter of fact, I'm really annoyed now because a friend of mine who doesn't work anywhere near as hard as I do went out and sold somebody a huge life insurance policy, gourmet meal, and that should have been me, but I wasn't out there trying to sell that. So my friend made all kinds of money, he's taking the summer off, and I'm back here running my hot dog stand." He said, "As a matter of fact, I run the best hot dog stand in town, but I'm not making anywhere near as much money as my friend who's now just sold the gourmet meal." So he totally got it, and then he said, "Okay, now I really need to run on these two tracks now and make sure that I don't miss out on those big opportunities." So that's really it. That's a simple way, and once again, it's a way of thinking and a practical approach to selling that breaks through a mind trap, which is, well, no one will ever pay more. I can't raise my prices. There's no point in that. And I go, right. Well, so this way, if there's no risk, you're not raising your prices. You're just giving them another option. I had another client who, I said, "How much do you charge?" She says, $10,000. And that was her price. It was kind of like, that's the price she was comfortable asking for, right? She'd gotten used to asking for it. People were paying her that. And so she was very hesitant to ever want to raise that, right? She didn't want to charge $15,000, because what happens if somebody says no? Everybody seems to be pretty good with 10, right? So I said, okay, well, we're going to have three here. We're going to have 10,000, 25,000, and 100,000. So she went out in the marketplace and she offered that, and she was okay because she wasn't raising her prices. And very soon, a company actually hired her for the 100,000. It was for doing commercial design of an office space. And she came back and she was very excited, and she says, "Wow, I can't believe that happened," And I said, "Okay, well, go back, later and just ask them why they hired you." So she did, and they said, "Well, we hired you because you were the most expensive." And she said, "Well, really?" And she said, "Yeah, because we thought, we assumed that you were the best, right? We wanted the best, and we just got all this money that invested in our company, and we were wanting to spend the money to get the best, so that's why we hired you." So you see, if she hadn't offered that 100,000, it was guaranteed she wasn't ever going to get it, but then she had it there, and people offered it to her. So this is the trick. Come up with at least one gourmet meal, if not two, and add that to your fast food and see what happens. Okay, so that's the exercise to go forward. So if you actually wanted to figure that out and you needed a bit of help, you can call us and we can set up a time to have a big idea session, and we can start talking about that kind of thing, because we offer a free big idea session if you want to do it. Okay, so there you go. That's the idea of gourmet versus fast food.